Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm just recording a quick update on where I'm at when it comes to the business that I started. So the last time I talked, I think it was more about, I got licensing in place and like got all the technical stuff done. So in the last couple of weeks, I've really been kind of focusing on I've been trying to focus on like social media stuff, but to be honest, I like really kind of lost a lot of motivation when I felt like it was just I'm posting and posting and posting and like nothing's really happening because I wasn't ready to start actually providing services. So I kind of lost my motivation to post because I'm like, it doesn't really matter if I post and someone sees it and someone wants to work with me because I'm not ready to work. So like my posting went down to like I was at like 20 times a day or more, and then I dropped down to like 2 or 3 times a day, and I stopped doing videos. I started doing like just picture posts because I found this really good really awesome photo editing app that I can have on my phone as well, so I can do them when I'm at work or on the fly or something like that. So I really started half-assing it for a while, and I started getting like really kind of miserable with my current job because my current job is fine, but it's stuff that I was able to do perfectly fine like 7 years ago. So now to have to come back to the super simple, super easy job that you can get done with no challenge whatsoever, like I kind of hate it because I struggle to get motivated to go there in the morning. Just because I know that once I get there, like I can do my work shit in 2 hours, and then spend the next 6 hours just twiddling my thumbs doing nothing, and I don't like that, especially when I want to start my own business. So I was getting like really kind of I don't want to say upset. It was really just kind of like I felt like I was kind of like in a quagmire, like where I just couldn't really move. I felt like stuck. So I was like, nope, you gotta start making progress again because you were actually happy when you were working on like your own business stuff. So I think I finalized my website. I'm working on putting my content into like a PowerPoint version. That way I can actually teach it. I decided on the demographic that I'm going to target first. If you don't know me, I have like 7-ish years background in human services. So that's, working with group homes, working with people with developmental disabilities, mental illnesses, substance abuse, behavioral issues, all that kind of stuff. That's a very, very specific field that takes a lot of knowledge to be successful in, because there are lots of human services has lots of legal laws that you need to be aware of and maintain compliance and follow day in and day out. There are very high stress situations, like when someone gets high on meth and comes at you, or if you have a 14-year-old who's having a behavioral issue, so they're trying to run into the middle of the traffic. That can be very stressful, puts a lot of pressure on people. And if you screw up and it breaks a Minnesota law, like, you denied someone access to something because they were unstable, Minnesota could say, well, you were breaking the law, so we're finding you, guilty of maltreatment. If you get fined guilty with maltreatment, your career essentially in human services becomes done, because that stays on your file when it comes to the Department of Human Services, and no place will hire you if you've been found guilty of maltreatment. So it's a very, very stressful field, very technical, lots of stuff that's in gray area that can cause a lot of problems. So it's a field that I know very, very well, and I know that it has a shit ton of problems. Main one being retention rates. Retention rates in these types of positions are terrible. It's very high stress work and for very low pay. All human services is basically state funded, and the state will say oh yeah, we'll pay you enough to pay your employees $13 an hour to deal with this 6'3", 280-pound suicidal/homicidal man who has a history of beating the shit out of people. Not lots of people will stay for that, so it's very, very difficult to keep people in those positions. Even if you're lucky enough to find people who are there doing it for the right reasons, like, I want to give back, I want to help others, I want to, do this stuff because it's important to me, it's tough for them to stay there when they're physically in danger or when they can't pay their bills or, things like that. So it's a field that I'm very familiar with, as well as I'm very, very familiar with their problems, because I experience it on a daily basis for 7 years. So I decided that that's who I would target first. One thing that's kind of nice and convenient about that field is that all organizations who work in human services are required to get a state license, and then the Department of Human Services has all of those licenses listed as public information. So essentially, I can go to the DHS website, I can type in all licenses within Minneapolis, and it will bring me an entire list of all licensed facilities within Minneapolis. So I just look at the license, I look at the company, I Google that company to get a quick look at their website, see what they're about, see who their clients are, get a phone number, and then I call their recruiting or their HR department, and I ask to, talk to someone there about potential manager training to help, save on a couple of issues. So I want to talk to the recruiting or HR, because when it comes to human services, the biggest issues are turnover, pay, and difficult clients. And HR typically is involved in every single one of those issues every single time. And they are the ones who have to recruit new people after, 18 people quit. They're the ones who need to explain to people, yeah, I know your job is tough, but we can't pay you more because we can't afford it. They're the ones who, need to essentially deal with all these problems. So when it comes to the physical and mental strain, they get hit with the brunt of it. And so that's who I want to target, because they are also very, very familiar with the problems. And I can say, hey, what would you say if I offered some type of training that, helped reduce turnover and, increased employee satisfaction? Because they're so familiar with those problems, and because I'm sure that the idea of a solution hits home so hard for them, they're going to be the first ones to say, tell me more, because that shit sucks here and we want to fix it as soon as possible. So I essentially pulled the list of all Minneapolis and St. Paul licensed facilities, and yesterday, Monday, I got off work about a half an hour early, so I came home and it was like 3:30. I'm like, oh, well, this is some time to, make some cold calls. So I literally just started from the top of the list, and I started calling numbers. I think I left a message for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I left a message for 6 different companies before 4 o'clock hit, and human services offices typically close around 4 o'clock. So I didn't want to leave a bunch of voicemails for these companies. I feel like I'd get a much better result if I could talk with them in person. So these 6 companies that I called didn't have answers, so I left them voicemails. And today, one of the companies called me back, and we talked for a couple of minutes, and I was like, yeah, I've started this training company. I know that this stuff is especially valuable in human services because I know you have to deal with turnover. I know you have to deal with employees not being satisfied with their pay, challenging with their jobs, yada, yada. So it's really important for the manager to be well-versed in those areas as well, because those are problems you're going to constantly have to deal with. And the guy was like, yeah, you're exactly right. I'm interested, and he's going to talk to someone else in his facility about it. I gave them my email address, my website, so they're going to check that out. And then they're going to, hopefully reach back to me sometime in the next couple of days and set up a meeting just so we can chat more about it. So really, even starting to make those cold calls like that, really got me energized, because I'm like, okay, yeah, now we're working on my project again. And that's what I really, really love. And then getting that call back today was really awesome as well, because I was fully expecting, call 100 of these people, 10 of them will be interested. Talk to 10 of them, 1 of them will actually want to move forward. So I'm really expecting a 10% conversion rate on people you call. 10% of them you get a meeting with. The 10% that you get a meeting with, they'll actually want to do your services. So I was planning on calling 500 before I had some serious interest, and I just called 6, and already 1 of them was interested. So I'm really, really excited and happy about that. Running into an issue though, because I'm not getting home until about 5 p.m. So I need to take a couple of days off so I can start making these cold calls while offices are open. So I'm hoping to take a couple of days off next week. But yeah, that's happening, and I'm pretty stoked about it. Yeah, fun update. Peace.